That guy from the FedEx.
Good evening, everyone. Well, folks, we are in our 21st year of having a treatment court here. And obviously, there's always a first, and this obviously is our biggest first of having a graduation here on the courthouse square. But I want you just to think about that for a second. For many of you, you came into this courthouse to go to Central Court or for booking, to be arrested, to have a hearing. And today, instead of being sentenced to prison, you are receiving your graduation from the work that you've done in recovery and treatment. You should be very proud of yourself, and you should look at this place You should look at this courthouse as a place that intervened in your life and allowed you to bring back who you are and who you can be for your family members and for yourself. And you should all be proud of yourself. I can tell you on behalf of all the judges in Lackawanna County, all the treatment providers, all the probation officers, all the case managers, all the people that work on the treatment court, there is no greater pleasure that we get than having a graduation and see people succeed in their life. Because unfortunately, too often what we see is people who keep coming back, end up in state prison, lose their children, and their children have no parents. That's not the way life should be. What life should be is the movement of what am I doing today to move on in my life to get rid of the things that haunted me beforehand. And each one of you have done that. You've had the courage to do treatment. You've had the courage to basically say to yourself, I need to make a change. And that should be the goal of all the criminal justice system, is changed behavior, not punishment. And as long as the individuals are able to take responsibility for what they've done, accountable for their treatment, accountable for their recovery, then we have to make sure as a government that we help those individuals. And you have made it possible. So I want to thank each and every one of you. We are going to start off this evening with an individual who has worked very hard, has also gone through the program, has done a phenomenal job, and has given back a tremendous amount. And it's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, veteran Jim McHugh.
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is behind us. You're going to have to do an about face. Veterans may hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and through the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you want to stay standing for one moment, please, we have another wonderful individual who has done a tremendous amount in her recovery and moving forward, Katie Knight.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting the flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you. Congratulations.
Wow, oh wow, you can now be seated. I can tell you that okay, that was very impressive. Very impressive. Tonight, folks, we have the honor of having with us one of our county commissioners who only started back in January. And one of the first things before he got in office was to come see me and ask about what treatment courts are about and why he should support them and why they're important for our community. And I can tell you from the day he became a county commissioner, he has made sure that one of the priorities that he has is not only to make our community safer, but also to make sure that the resources that we need in regard to our treatment court is there and that we are able to now apply for grants, but they're also supporting us in making sure that you receive treatment you need and help that you need. And I'd like you to say a few words, County Commissioner Chris Chermak.
Thank you, Judge Brace. Do we all realize how lucky we are to have a judge like Judge Brace? Really. Without somebody like him, there would be jail time. And seriously, they don't play games. But he's driven to this. So I really want to thank for everything that you've done and your entire team. It's phenomenal. And to the graduating class, I congratulate you. These are tough times that we're faced with. Stuff that was not in the brochure when I signed up, I can tell you, but congratulations. I know it's hot out there. Thank you very much.
Folks, we are going to have a shortened program, but I want to make sure that we have this program because it's important for each one of you that you are recognized and saluted for the work that you have done. There was many conversations across the country and the state in regard to not having any type of gatherings because of the COVID, but we felt it was important that we collect, that we honor you for the work that you've done, and that we make sure that all the hard work that you've done is recognized by everyone. And also, believe it or not, the staff want to have a graduation because they put a lot of time and effort in working with you. And I'd like each one of you just to applaud the staff that's helped you so long. So folks, as I said earlier, this is our 21st year. And this is the first time in 21 years that a dear friend of mine is not here. Every single graduation, I would call Father Sika, and I would ask him, would he mind speaking or just saying a prayer at our graduation? Just like Father Sika, he never has been shy for a microphone. And while I'd ask him to do a prayer, it would turn into about a 15-minute speech. And Father Joe would work on that speech all week long. And he would call me during the week and say, you're going to like this one. And he'd tell me what he was going to say. And then so often we would work together the days beforehand so that my remarks could work off of his. Today, he was not there to call. Today, he was not there to talk to and to rely upon. And what we all have collectively here, and what each one of us must remember, And I've been to probably 100 eulogies that he gave. And I pretty much have memorized his eulogies, and I would document them as eulogy 101, eulogy 102, eulogy 103. And when we went out to dinner, I'd say, Father, you have to change it up a little bit. And so finally he did. And for all of your graduations, he would change it up because he didn't want to be abused afterwards at dinner. But one of the biggest things he would talk about in all of his eulogies, and when he was here for all of your graduations, is about LIFE, life. Live it fully every day. Every day is a new day. It's today that you're living, not yesterday. And when I went home earlier, I always have his Lenten books about, and I often use them for many things that I speak about. And, Father would talk about you have two choices. You can live life dying or live life living. You can live in yesterday or you can live in today. You can make sure that your life has a meaning and that you have a choice every single day of how you're going to live that life. Your life is not defined by yesterday. Your life is defined by what you're doing today. And for each one of you, I ask and pray that you live your life today and that you don't go back to the life you were living before. Because the life you were living before was living life to die. The life you're living today is to live. And I ask each one of you, just like your family asks of each one of you, to please continue doing what you're doing today, because it's so easy. And as many of you know so many people that just overnight went back to using and died. And that's living life dying, not living life to live. Your recovery should be your best friend. Your recovery should be the first thing you think about when you wake up, as you live during the day, and as you go to bed, because it's truly allowing you to live rather than to live to die. Father wrote for his April 1st Lenten series many years ago how people would say to you, remember when you did that to me? Remember when you did this? You're no good because you did this or you did that. It was awful, and there was plenty of people to remind you of what you did. But the past is history. It can be changed. You can change it. It is your choice to either live it, live in it, or leave it. There are those ways to keep from getting stuck in the mud and the mire of the past. Face it, replace it, erase it. Face it, the past, though once real, is an illusion. Over and done. You have to stop carrying it around with you, talking about it, and allowing others to bring it up. Release its power over you. Say, yes, I did that, but that doesn't define who I am now. Replace it. Allow the wounds from the past to heal. Letting them fester only encourages more anger, resentment, bitterness, and hatred. Work toward peace with those and within who have hurt and whom you have hurt. Replacing it means you no longer let the past infect the present. And then erase it. Forget what lies behind you, but move forward to what lies ahead. It's called spiritual amnesia. We are more than our yesterdays. Embrace this moment. Give it full meaning and attention. Persevere and resist being dragged back into your past. And I'm sure as many of you heard in the rooms and other places, don't get bogged down by the past. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Ladies and gentlemen, the work that you have done and where you have gotten today, I'd want you each to look at your hands and think that you're holding a gift. I want you to walk around with you each day holding that gift and saying to yourself, I'm not going to drop that. I've worked too hard for it. It took me too long. I am not going to let this gift drop to the floor because I want to make sure that I live life in the present and I give the best of myself to me and my family. So congratulations. And with that being said, we'll start the graduation class. I've got to say for myself, this is always beyond a shadow of a doubt the happiest days that I have each year. Too often we look at how many people were sentenced and then had probation and violated, and then we had to put them back in prison. This year we're fortunate that we've received the grant that we're starting a new program through the probation department, and there's going to be specialized probation officers that are going to work with those that have drug and alcohol and mental health afflictions. And so that those that are sentenced that violate and become gagged on hearings, that they have a new way and a new avenue into our treatment court. And so I can't wait to see how our next phase of looking at what we need to do to make this community a greater recovery community. Last year, we had the start of the recovery bank. That was a huge start, but now government has to kick in and do more to make sure that recovery is part of our society. It's an infrastructure. It's not just a side silo. It's the infrastructure upon which we work. So we are very excited, and I want to thank all the probation officers who have worked so hard to make sure that this program works. I want to start off with a young woman that has worked very, very, very hard. From day one, has always been a pleasure to work with, and really should be very proud of herself. Leah Chuplik. Seeing how I can't hug, I guess I'm just going to have to bump fists today. A young woman who, to be honest with you, in the beginning, I didn't know how committed she was going to be and whether or not she was really going to do the program. And it always felt like we were doing some type of dance back and forth, and it wasn't a good dance. But she really has turned life around and has been a part of not only of her recovery, but has engaged with everyone else. And I thank her for her hard work. Katherine Dutka. And you have the two probation officers, Kenny Kaib and Nicole Lenedy, who have worked very hard, and I want to thank them for their efforts. A woman that has been very, very positive from day one, who has really strived to make a lot of changes, has always been very positive, and has done a lot of hard work, Shonda Wainwright. And I tell you what, this next young man, I can tell you right now, did not want to have anything to do with us when we first started. Didn't know why he was here, and truly just wanted to get the heck out of here. And but changed, and we all saw the change that happened over the last 18 months with Gordon. He really adopted a good program and has worked hard. Gordon Appel. A man right from the very beginning that has been very positive, has taken this to heart, has been very serious about his treatment and his recovery, and we're very proud of Joseph Carroll. Again, another individual who from the beginning worked hard, kept his focus on what needed to be done, has done extremely well, Joseph Heenan. Individual that is very quiet, but quiet is not always bad. Sometimes it shows the person's thinking and dedication has really worked this program in a very good way. Patrick Jordan. This next young man has gone through an awful lot during the program, but has always been honest and open and worked with everybody while dealing with a lot of barriers, but has been really a very positive player in regard to it, Corey Novak. I can tell you that this next young man I thought was never going to graduate for one reason. Last year, we had a treatment court picnic. And as you know, Henry comes with me everywhere. Henry's not here tonight because he's sick. Well, one certain person on our treatment court, after I said, do not feed Henry, I catch him feeding Henry 2 cheeseburgers. If you don't think I'm a merciful judge, probably nothing you could do more than do something to Henry. But regardless of his mortal sin, this person has worked on, has also overcome an awful lot of medical problems, but has kept himself true to the program, and we're proud to see him graduate. Henry Vanbuskirk. A person that's been an absolute pleasure to work with in every single way, has been very genuine, very honest, and very caring, and has just done a tremendous job, Ashley Davis. Again, a young woman who, right from the beginning, I think was a little overwhelmed in the beginning, but certainly turned it around very quickly and worked hard to make sure that she was going to be successful in this program and in life. Kayla Silvent. This next young man, I've got to say, I didn't know if he was going to make it when he first started. First of all, he's not very talkative, but you know what? His actions do his talking for him. And right from the beginning, he made sure that he was going to follow through on everything, gave his best to make sure that this program worked for him, and very proud of him. Michael Deschler. This next young lady who you're going to work or hear from later on, who has done just a tremendous job at being positive, at making changes in her life and making sure that recovery replaces what she was living before. Chelsey Esperance. Very quiet man who's not here right now, but we are doing this via Zoom for him for some other reasons. But a young man that has done really, really well, and whom we're very proud of, Robert Hinckley. Now where Julian's hiding there? There, she's way over there. I'm learning this. I have to go back and forth. When you get old, it gets confusing. A young woman that has really worked tremendously hard, has made sure that she followed through on everything, Julianna Angreson. Young man who was always straightforward, who took things the way they were, didn't try to make any, was no circus in town, did what he had to do, Robert Backey. Another young man who right from the beginning decided that he wanted to do the program, that he was not, in the beginning was, I think, a little overwhelmed, but then afterwards got himself straightened out and just kept moving along, Eric Bartaki. This next individual, quite honestly, almost flew under the radar. Didn't know where he was half the time because he was so quiet. But on the other hand, followed through on everything that we asked him to do, Damon Brown. By the way, folks, when we first started over 20 years ago, there was I'm not positive, I don't know where Gene is. Was there 2 graduates or 1 graduate? 2 graduates, Kelly and Hoover. Katherine Hoover and one of the Kellys. And it was in one of the smaller courtrooms, and there was probably about 50 people there. I think today we have 64 graduates. I mean, you should be very proud of what you've done. So congratulations. Another individual that has done extremely well, who we're doing via Zoom because of some other problems, but has done really well and should be very proud of himself, Dylan Kadula. Hello, Dylan. My whole life is Zoom now. That's all I do. All morning, all day is Zoom. I don't even know where I am half the day. Person from the very beginning, again, just kept his head forward, knew where he was going, did not do anything that wasn't called for. Jason Cronk. Next individual, again, I've got to say that of the graduating classes, this class probably, except for a few, was the least numbers that we saw go back to prison or other problems. But they really took it seriously, realized where they were at, and made changes. Next person, Stephen Demonovich, worked hard and was always there. Thank you, Stephen. This next young woman was absolutely a pleasure to work with. She was open. She struggled in the beginning, didn't like being here in the beginning, felt overwhelmed in the beginning, but really turned it around. Amanda McCullen. This next young woman, again, in the beginning, I think was completely frazzled by the program. Wasn't sure why she was here, but she took care of her children. She took care of herself. There was medical issues. There was all kinds of other circus stuff that was out there, but she stayed focused and did what she had to do in recovery. Taylor Fazzola. An absolute pleasure to deal with, a person that I'm going to miss in the future because she always brightened up the day. She has just a great personality, She's a great mother, and she has really done a tremendous amount in her recovery. Cadella Porter. Again, a young woman that in the beginning, I think, was very nervous coming into the program, wasn't really sure what it was about, was a little fearful of what was going to happen, but took it serious and worked with everyone in a very, very responsible way. Heather Bear. No rain so far. This next young woman came to court every time, 90% of the time, with 2 children in tow. She really has overcome an awful lot. She had her significant other die during the time. Nothing stopped her. She didn't have a car. She got to court every week. She got to her appointments every week. And nothing stopped her from being successful in this program. Emily Del Marta. Another young one who in the beginning, I think, was, first of all, she's got a lot of energy, and she's always moving, but she always did it in a positive way. And Sam, as known as Samantha Seidner, has done a great job in graduating. We're very proud of her. Folks, and also I want to give, on behalf of both Judge Gerullo, who has been a head of the mental health court for years and years and has always been there, and gives his congratulations to each one of you. And he can't be here for health reasons. Wants to make sure now he stays safe, but his grandchildren stay safe. And also Judge Gerbola, who can't be here today. And I want to thank them for all the work that they have done on helping you guys all these years. And this next individual, for some reason, I don't have a real diploma. I think it was somewhere it got misplaced, but a person that's worked very hard, has had an extremely positive attitude, and a great person to work with, Gage Dombeck. Probation officers Shelley Ackroyd and Joe Wolf, who are handling the RIP and IP courts. Again, a young woman who from the beginning, I just can't believe, because it's not a usual graduation. We're usually, saying I never thought you'd finish up. But let me tell you, this group has worked very hard. Michelle Weiss. And again, an individual that basically flew under the radar because he did what he had to do, didn't make any excuses. There was no circus in town. He did what had to be done. Daniel Lanchulis. Again, an individual that worked very hard, has always maintained a positive attitude, and really should be proud of himself, Evaristo Vega. Again, a young man that wasn't sure why he was here in the beginning, a little deer in front of headlights, but just really did everything he had to do. Corey Bowsfield. When Corey said, thank you for everything, all we could say back to you, each one of you, is thank you. Because truly for all the probation officers, all the caseworkers, all the treatment providers, this is what they do for a living. And it's a very, the gratitude and thanks they get for seeing the people that are working their way back is really a tremendous amount of pleasure for us. Again, individual that worked hard from the beginning, kept positive and just did what he had to do, Duane Robbins. Person that's always a pleasure, worked hard in his life, but also did what we needed him to do, and really was a pleasure to work with, Jomo Clark. And I didn't realize he was going to be here. An individual that has also worked very hard. In the beginning, I think it was a tough road for him. He had a lot of balls up in the air, but really did a lot of hard work and made a lot of changes, and he should be proud of himself, Stephen Rinaldi. Absolute pleasure to work with. Always brought some humor to the courtroom, and really has done a lot of hard work on a serious note, Dylan Harhut. A person that, quite frankly, as I said, for some of the years before, I wasn't sure how he was going to do in the program, didn't know how committed he was, but he really worked hard and has made a very positive impact, Earl Plotkin. A young man that's endured a lot. He's had health problems. He has all types of barriers. Other people would try to make excuses as why they couldn't do things, but he never did. He always made sure he followed through on what was asked of him and always had a positive attitude in regard to it. Patrick Dougherty. And now we're joined by Probation Officer Joey Giancopoulos. Hello, Joey. Let me give him a clap. Next individual has been very, very, very positive, has worked the program, has not really diverted off the main line at all. Rashawn Edwards. Everyone knows the story of the hare and tortoise and the race to the line. It's not how fast you get there. It's the fact that you get there. And, you don't always get to that line, and that line may not always be the line you should be at. Maybe you need to be at a different course. This next graduate has worked hard over a number of years and truly has turned around the way she has been living and should be very proud of herself. Christina Perry. Person that, again, from the very beginning has focused on what he had to do in both treatment and recovery and has been a very positive influence on the treatment court, Scott Kimble. person who in the beginning, I think, had no idea why he was here or what we were doing or what was going to happen to him, but followed through on the program and did everything that was required. Juan Rodriguez. These next couple of graduates are from our mental health court, and I can tell you that Judge Giroulo truly, as he would say to me, that it is probably the best days of being a judge is being in that court. Judge Giroulo gives his heart and soul for it, and really, the other day we were talking about not being in person, and he said to me, well, do you think I can meet them outside? Can I meet them somewhere? I want to talk to them. And he has worked on, while we've been doing treatment court on Zoom, he's been personally calling the treatment court people, the mental health court people, because he wants to keep that connection, and he's worked very hard on it. But the first graduate of the mental health court is Thomas Robinson. And the second is a young woman that I've known over the years from coming into my courtroom and has really worked hard to make a lot of changes. And I'm proud to see her graduate, Savannah Scanlon. And next young woman, Judge Giroulo has indicated has done a tremendous amount of work and should be very proud of herself, Laura Sherman. And the next individual is Jose Thin. And the next woman is India Arnold Mereno. The next individuals are from our DUI court. Many of these individuals faced a 5-year maximum in state prison. And each one of them, I can say, has worked very hard. And I am blessed to have Alfredo Pisa and Michelle Davis as the probation officers, and they truly care about each one of the participants and report back to me on a daily basis, often quite a few times a day, as to everyone's progress. So I want to thank them for their work. Our first graduate is Michael Perry. This next young man has gone through quite a bit over the last few years. He had a very good professional career, and because of back pain and others, he wasn't able to work, and he could have been using that as an excuse for all types of drugs and all kinds of abuse, but he hasn't, and he's kept a very positive attitude and should be very proud of where he is today. James Janus. Jim, you didn't give him that key, did you? You didn't give him that key, did you?
Lend it to him.
Person that's kept a really positive attitude, has worked very hard, and always a pleasure, Raymond Julio. Folks, it's still not raining. We're moving quickly, hopefully. This next woman has been an absolute pleasure to work with, has always worked hard, has been very frank with everyone, and should be very proud of herself. Hannah Parrish. And this next young woman, quite honestly, I have to say I wasn't sure she would ever graduate. I wasn't sure that she'd ever make it. It was a rough start. She visited that lovely hotel over on North Washington Avenue a few times. And then she came back and she made a lot of changes, a lot of positive changes in a tremendous way that she truly has changed her life. And as we say, this is about change behavior. She has not only changed behavior, but has become a truly positive influence in Passariello. This next young one, again, started from the beginning, was very positive and really worked hard. It was a pleasure to work with Amy Venturi. Next individual took this serious, was very frank in regard to where he was at, and I think worked a very good program. Harry Wasilko. This woman has been extremely positive, has worked very hard, really made sure that she followed through on everything. I think in the beginning, she really had she was, I think, fearful when she first came to the court and would never even look up at us. But afterwards, I think was very proud of the work she's done. Jolene Wheeler. Again, a very positive influence in regard to the courts, has done everything that we've asked of him. Christopher Wilcombe. Again, an extremely positive individual who worked hard from the beginning, just had a positive attitude. Al Miles. I've got to say, this group is almost boring in a way. I mean, beforehand, we had challenges with every single person that came up. I don't know what's going on. Probation must be doing something right, and treatment. This next individual, I don't think liked being here at all in the beginning, but truly followed through on the things that we asked them, made a lot of changes, and I think went from a tug of war to a positive attitude. Robert Mitchell. This next group is from our Veterans Court. And I've got to say that over the last couple months that we have been in operation, we've been doing Veterans Court by Zoom. And unlike the other courts where we have advancements or some problems that we bring in, the Veterans Court had asked that we do it with everyone. And it's truly remarkable to see the bond that each one of the veterans has with each other and how hard they work on being positive and working together. We are fortunate that we have several mentors here tonight with us. I see Jim McHugh and Vic Ortolano, and of course, Mike Mullen, the case manager, and Joey Giancompoulos. This next, I'll say, young man has really worked very, very hard. And I tell you, I'm extremely proud of him. He had a lot of loss in his life. He had a lot of tragedy. He could have just run the other way. There was times when he could not even get himself out of bed, but he made that change. He had the courage to work with the VA, to work with the treatment providers, and to, more importantly, work with recovery, to reach out and to get new friends and to be able to talk with folks about things that were going on in his life. And a person who we're extremely proud of, Timothy Burke. This next individual, to be quite honest with you, we weren't sure it was even going to be taken in the beginning. But once he got into the program, he stayed focused, he worked hard, and he helped others. George Wright. This next individual just can't wait to get out of this program. I think the only thing he's talked about since the time he started the program is when he graduates and he moves. And while he has said that 100 times, the truth is they did everything that was asked of him. And that's really the test. And so I thank you for the work you've done, Ben Stark. This next individual has really stood the test, has worked very hard. He has done excellent in school, is a great father, and really followed everything that was asked of him in the program. I'm talking about a person that just said, you know what, I need to follow what they're saying, and it'll work out for me. And it certainly has. Aman Saeed. And this next individual, he's very quiet. In the beginning, quite honestly, I didn't know how he was going to do and how long he's going to be with us. But he was very honest in what barriers are there and what he can do and can't do. But he's worked with us in a great way, and he should be very proud of the work he's done. Michael Lane. And last but not least, individual that has worked tremendously hard. When he first started the Veterans Court, he must have had at least 2 different jobs. He was working nonstop. He's a parent, and then he decided he was going to go back to school and is on honor roll, doing a phenomenal job. More importantly, he's being a great father, being responsible, accountable, and a veteran that deserves to be treated this way. Connor Clauss-Walton. With that being said, I'm going to ask that the graduate speaker, Chelsey Esperance, comes up.
Hi, I'm Chelsey, and I'm an addict and alcoholic. I'm really nervous. There's a lot of people here, but I'm just going to tell the truth, so it should work. I want to congratulate you all. I know for me, it's a really huge deal to graduate. Drug court saved my life, and when I started, I really didn't think I was going to make it this far. I was lost and terrified, and I just had no hope for any future. You know, drug court gave me a future. It helped me get my life back, and I'm grateful, and I hope it did the same for all of you. My story starts when I was a kid. I grew up in a family riddled with alcoholism. My mother, my father, my extended family, everybody is a drug addict or an alcoholic. So it was very normal for me to be around people drinking and using drugs and the whole lifestyle of addiction. So when my father died, I was about 4 years old, and that's when my mother started using. So I bounced around a lot as a kid. I was with different family members. I was in and out of foster care, and I just remember feeling like I didn't belong anywhere at a really young age. I didn't feel loved. I didn't like myself. And I started lying and doing things for attention before I even took a drink. The first time I drank, I don't remember. I was probably around 13 years old, and I just don't remember it. I remember that I must have liked it because I continued to do it, but I remember how I felt growing up. And again, I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere, like I didn't belong. And, you know, I just wanted to have friends. I just wanted attention. I wanted to fit in. So I found that alcohol helped me fit in with a certain group of people. So I pursued that. The first time I went to treatment, I was probably 15 years old. I went to Clearbrook Lodge up in Chickashinny. I don't think it's there anymore, but I stayed there for 90 days, and I was nowhere near ready. I definitely had a problem. I definitely had a problem with drugs and alcohol. I had a problem with the way I was living, but I was nowhere near ready to surrender and turn my life over to God. So I continued to use and drink. I started going to AA at a very young age. I was 16 when I started to get involved with Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was in and out of the program probably for most of my 20s. I would be able to put together a couple of months and then I'd relapse. And that was a continuous cycle. I went to rehabs. I tried to reach out to good people in AA, but I just did everything that you could possibly do wrong. I could not get honest to save my life. Everything out of my mouth was a lie. And I would do that to try to fit in or try to sound cool or try to get attention. I just never felt right. And I did everything that you should do wrong in this program. I never got a true sponsor. I went to meetings just for social aspects. I always was in a relationship. I was just always doing something to get me outside of myself. Like a big part of my story is not just drugs and alcohol. I used anything I possibly could to escape from myself. I would lie. I used power, money, men, just anything that I could that would make me feel alive because I just didn't feel anything. And that's how I spent most of my 20s. I did a lot of damage. I hurt a lot of people, especially myself, but when I was 26, I met someone and I moved to Las Vegas and got married. I thought that I could start over and get sober there, and it didn't work out. My life went down the hill very quickly. I was introduced to methamphetamine. I got married to a gambling addict. I just was so lost, and I was just looking for anything to help me just want to stay alive, because at that point I didn't even want to wake up in the morning. It got to the point where we were homeless in Las Vegas. I had a major drug problem, and my husband had a major gambling problem, and we ended up homeless because of both of those addictions. So I came back home with the hopes to get sober. And I always hoped to get sober. I always had good intentions. I was a great beginner, but I just couldn't finish anything. And I came home to Pennsylvania a couple years later, and I just picked up where I left off. I couldn't get it together. I had no faith in a higher power whatsoever. I just couldn't stand myself sober. I couldn't stand the person I became. I couldn't deal with my emotions. And the drugs eventually stopped working too. It was just a maintenance thing. I had to do it to stay alive. And sorry, I got distracted. Just the bell. Yeah, so I wanted to get sober, but I didn't do anything. I didn't put in any work. I just thought that if I decided I wanted to get clean and change my life, that it would happen, and I didn't have to do any work toward it. So I ended up getting into trouble, like we all did, to end up here. And I got arrested, and that was the best day and the most terrifying day of my life. I had never been in trouble before. I thought I was invincible. The law didn't apply to me. I was too smart, and I had a rude awakening. And I was blessed to not have gone to jail. I got arrested and I was released on bail. And that night I went home and I felt like I was backed into a corner. I felt like there was no way out, like everything was caving in, and I didn't want to use, I didn't want to drink, I just wanted to die. That's how I felt. But I was too afraid to kill myself. So I reached out to some people that I knew that were sober for a long time and asked them to help me. And they got me into a treatment facility in Carbondale. I was facing some major legal charges. I think I had like 18 misdemeanors or 21 misdemeanors. And I went to rehab because I was afraid of going to jail. If I'm being totally honest, I had good intentions like I always do every time, but I was afraid of going to jail. So I went to treatment. While I was in treatment, something happened, and it changed from me wanting to be in treatment to keep out of trouble to wanting to be in treatment to get better. And I surrendered. They told me to go to a sober house. So when I left treatment, I went into a women's sober house. And it was one of the best decisions that I made. I got in touch with Dick Conaboy, who also helped save my life. And through my lawyer and the court system, I was accepted in a drug court. And let me tell you something, I was terrified. I would shake when we were in the courtroom. I would physically shake. I did not think that I could make it through this program. I wasn't even afraid of not using, I could always get sober. It was what followed. It was what happened after I got sober, my behaviors. I continued to lie. I continued to use men or money or power or gambling or anything that I possibly could. I just couldn't change. So I got accepted into drug court, and I knew that if I was going to do this and if I was going to get sober and get better and make it through this program, I needed to really get honest, and I needed to be open, and I needed to be willing to do whatever I needed to do and whatever I was told to do. So I got a sponsor right away. I have a different sponsor today, but I got a sponsor right away. I did a 90 and 90, and I shared at almost every meeting I went to. I shared about where I was at, the anxiety that I was riddled with. It was horrific. I never thought it was going to go away. I stayed in the sober house for 6 months. Drug court helped guide me. Nicole Linnity was my probation officer, and she's like a second sponsor to me. I trust her with my life, and she pushed me to be the best version of myself that I could be. I would not be standing here with things I've accomplished if it wasn't for her. So I eventually got an apartment. I got a job. I got a vehicle. I went to college. I'm a person. I got my life back. And I can't even say that I got my life back because I never really had a life. My life consisted of chasing drugs and running. I was just constantly running away from anything that was reality because I wasn't willing to accept it. But I don't know, today I'm 16 months sober. It's the longest I've ever been sober. I have wonderful support system. I have a good job. I want to be alive today. That's the biggest thing. Is 16 months ago, I really just didn't want to wake up. And today I look forward to waking up. So congratulations and thank you.
Chelsey, thank you very much. Your story is a mirror of many of the other individuals that are sitting here who have really had to reach a point where, and I want you to think about this. When you think about the police officer that made the arrest, you should think to yourself, thank you. It's not an easy job they have. Police officers and law enforcement today are under an awful lot of attack, but the reality is each one of you, without that arrest, and the word means stop. And what they did is they stopped, they helped you stop. It was an intervention that stopped the conduct that you had. So we should thank law enforcement and those that have worked to make sure that things ended up the way they have. I want to bring on the Assistant District Attorney, which I think is here somewhere, Dave Coyne. And this program would not work without the help of the District Attorney's Office and the Public Defender's Office, because it's the District Attorney who has to agree in regard to us taking you into the program to have it expunged at the end and dismissed at the end. So it's very important that everyone, and that's what I think you're seeing here, is that it's not silos, it's a whole system working together in regard to your recovery. So with that being said, Dave.
Thank you, Your Honor. And being out there, I can see those gray clouds coming too, so I'll be quick. I'm here to read the names of the people that we're going to be asking for their charges to be expunged, and I hope that I get to read every one of your names in the near future. Your Honor, on behalf of the Commonwealth and the Lackawanna County District Attorney's Office, I would ask that the following individuals have their charges expunged, and I would ask that they stand and be recognized for the hard work that they've continued to do. Noyar Ed Ayers. Taylor Furco. Keith Carney. Kayla Bailey. David Enslin. Jordan Al-Salahat. And Julie Pezzavento.
Thank you, Dave. And now this first day of July 2020, based upon the petitioner's successful completion of drug court, the charges relative to all the above captioned cases are dismissed, and the petition to expunge is granted in each and every case. Congratulations. Do we have any dismissals? Okay. So, folks, as we finish up this evening, go back to what Father Seek had to say in Life, Live It Fully Every Day. Let nothing stand in your way. Go ahead. Don't let anything stand in your way of living your life. Despite the problems, the barriers, the seemingly impossible, the work you have done till today has brought you here. Each day, you have a choice of what you say and do. please don't lose the gift that you've gotten today and keep it tomorrow close to your heart. Congratulations, and make sure you thank your family and all those that support you during this time. Thank you.